Real Talk with Jodi and Michal. Real friends, real situations, real life. Authentic chats from the heart to the gut. Two best friends keeping it raw, real, and relatable.
Well, hello everybody again, and welcome to another edition of Real Talk with Jodi and Michal. I am Michal, functional nutritionist, and I'm with one of my longest friends, and not oldest, longest friends, Jodi Greenblatt, who has many qualifications. And Jodi, I will let you introduce yourself. So, without further ado, my fabulous co-host, Jodi Greenblatt.
Thank you, Michal. As always, good to see you. That's right. I'm Jodi Greenblatt. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and turned relationship and empowerment coach for women who are ready to break free from toxic relationships, breaking those toxic patterns so that people can have better relationships.
Nice, good. And today, and we talk about real life things and things that affect all of us, for those of you who've never listened before. And I always like to start, or we always like to start with something that's relevant in our lives right now. And I know in our last episode, I had just come back from a really long trip. I had hosted a retreat. And Jodi, you did some traveling this weekend.
I sure did. It was an impromptu trip. I'm in Florida, impromptu trip to a friend in California who I haven't seen in many years. Um, we've both gone through a lot in the last few years and haven't actually seen each other but spoken a lot. So it was really nice to see her. It was a quick weekend. It was just nice to catch up with a friend, nice to go and see where I used to live in California. And today I'm feeling a little, I don't know what to call it, just not myself. And it made me realize it's because I was not eating the way I normally eat. You know, when you're in your own home and you're accustomed to your own environment and you know what's in your refrigerator. Well, my friend had a lot of food in her refrigerator, so it's not that. But somehow we our schedules were different. Our schedules were different with when we eat. I wake up and I like to have a big breakfast and I eat every few hours, and she would go like hours without eating, and I'd be like, let's eat. And she'd be like, well, let's first do this. So it's kind of like I was out of sync with my body, and it's kind of like navigating, like, yeah, I was on vacation. It was easy to go, sure, I'll wait. But the reality is, it like if I'm used to eating, it gets uncomfortable. And I woke up this morning realizing it wasn't just the eating. I hadn't been drinking enough water. And it's one of those little reminders of how important it is to drink water, something so basic, like water is so important, sleep is so important, getting thrown off by the time difference, like all those little things, flying for 6, 7 hours just throws off your body. But it's all good. It's all good. It was a good weekend, but yeah, that's where I'm sitting today with having to get back into things. So what did I do first thing this morning? I went to the gym. Helps get my body regulated and just back into the swing of things.
Moving really helps. Now, you're also and you're also in a relatively newer relationship. Was this your first time traveling together?
Oh my gosh. So yes, it's our
Oh,
first trip together.
interesting. So I think this is very relevant to some of the stuff that you do with relationships. And so how did that go?
So it actually went really, really well. I did have the thought, not a worry, but I did have a thought of first time going away. And I remember somebody once several years ago going, this was in a previous relationship. How do you guys travel together? Because traveling brings out a whole other side of someone. I will say I travel well with people. So, but I did still wonder what was this going to be like. It actually ended up being just, there were no hitches. We got along just fine. It was actually lovely. It was actually lovely to be able to spend like an extended period of time together with no work in between, no stresses in between. But Like there are things, like for instance, he was working, like literally working until well beyond when we should have left for the airport. Let's just say that. But I am a very like naturally calm person, and I know that getting freaked out about it or yelling at him to hurry up is not going to make him hurry up. So all I did was kind of like keep track of time and go, we really need to leave in the next 15 minutes, so let's get packing. It literally wasn't packed. But you know what, we got out the door just fine, didn't miss the plane. um Learned about each other. I think traveling together, you can learn about each other. What was a great relief was the little things that I like to do that previous partners got annoyed with, he didn't. Like, we're going to board the plane in just a few minutes, and I decide I need to go to the restroom. I'll feel more comfortable rather than getting on the plane and going to pee. So, and he was like, it's fine, we'll be fine. And that felt good to me. So yeah, it was actually good. But getting to know people in a different environment it can be interesting.
Sure. So then how does this, because this definitely translates into a lot of the work that you do. And I think a lot of stress and issues can happen in relationships when you're out of your usual routine and usual environment. And there's expectations on both sides. And often, not always, but often those expectations are not
I
communicated
was just going to say that's
and
key.
and they're not met.
Hmm.
And it can lead to a lot of tension and a lot of insecurity,
Hmm.
and maybe some resentment. And then, what started off as a good relationship, exactly like you've spoken about before, on a solid grounding, especially in the beginning of a relationship, those little shakes you have to be really careful, be careful of, because you don't have the resilience within the relationship to deal with the
Oof,
shakes.
you
So
said a lot of things there.
yeah,
Yeah.
so can you unpack that for me a little bit? Because I think that would be really interesting for people exploring a new relationship. And I mean, we're all traveling or moving around, or even having somebody come and stay at you for the weekend,
Oh
right?
my gosh.
It's still the same. It's not exactly the same, but it's a similar situation where everybody's going to be out of their comfort zones.
Yeah, no, that's so true. You've actually touched on so many things. It's like I'm trying to like, whew, let me figure out which to talk about first. But the one thing that you said is spot on. It's communication. Because yes, there are things that we weren't used to about each other, but communication was key. So and I tend to communicate. I say my thoughts about my thoughts. So I would say, like, for instance, if I was running late, or if I was like, I want to stop at the store quickly, even though we have a plane to catch, like I mean the airport store, like I would communicate, hey, I don't know how you feel about this. I think we have about 15 minutes. I'd like to go get a bottle of water. Are you okay with that? Or is it going to stress you about getting to the gate? So like that kind of like detailed communication is like super important, because, and the way you touched on it was you're unspoken. Because if I just went ahead and said, okay, I'm just going to go get water without thinking, I don't know how he functions in an airport. Like some people are like, no, I want to be at the airport 3 hours in advance. Some people are, no, I get there just in time to board. So we don't know those things until you communicate them. So yeah, that's the key. Communication is often the answer to almost any relationship problem.
But I will say that we're not taught that.
And we are not.
Many of us grew up in homes where you did not talk about your feelings, and communication is hard. Communication, learning to communicate as an adult, not
Mhm.
as a parent to a child like we do with our parents, but as an adult to an adult is hard.
Yeah. And when you say adult to adult, so that's another dynamic that often happens in a relationship, where one person takes too much responsibility for another, or tells him what he needs to pack or how it needs to be, instead of just, he's an adult. if he forgets his t-shirt, he will figure it out. So, and when you say communication doesn't happen, people sometimes mistake what communication is. Like often people will say, we communicate. And what they mean is, we have conversations. We're communicating all the time. We're talking about the things that we're doing. We're talking about what's for dinner tonight. We're talking about that I'm going to the store. That's not communication in a relationship. Communication means expressing your inner world, your thoughts, your feelings, being empathic to the other person's thoughts and feelings, listening to each other without that, that common tendency when you're waiting for someone to finish talking so that you can say what you want to say. Communication is all of those factors, listening to hear what the other person is saying. You've sometimes said, and speaking to the way another person listens. You say it differently.
Yes, I speak to someone's listening.
Speak to someone's listening. Yeah, all of those factors, like knowing how to speak to someone, not just what you're saying, being aware of yourself as well as your partner is so key. Now this brings me to like relationship stuff. That is such a key piece to relationships, fulfilling your own needs and fulfilling your partner's needs. And where does that line get drawn? And how do you navigate both? That's what makes relationships difficult. That communication both ways, to express and to receive the communication, being willing to hear what the partner's saying, being willing to share what is inside of you. Because when we don't speak up, hey, that hurt my feelings. Oh, hey, I thought we were going to this party. I didn't know you were going to your friend. Like actually like saying it versus just getting silent, or versus blowing up, or versus getting passive aggressive and making a snarky comment. All those different nuances in communication makes a big difference. And you pointed to resentment. If we don't speak our truth, what's inside of us, we're not being vulnerable. We're not sharing of ourselves. The person can't fully get to know, our partner can't fully get to know us. Resentment builds. Resentment is a killer of relationships.
I believe that. I also, and you can tell me from a communication perspective, I think that texting and online relationships is a killer to relationships, because everything that you write pretty much is open to interpretation. There is something about body language, facial language. There's an intent that comes when somebody's in front of you that you can't get through a text, even if you know somebody really well. And unfortunately, we have so much online communication with people, and I think especially in the dating world nowadays, that we have unmet expectations which lead to resentment.
Yes.
Because of misinterpretation, right?
Absolutely.
Or I mean, it's really easy to say something in text. It's really difficult to say it to somebody's face.
That
And
is, well, sorry, were you going to say something else?
I was just going to say that that's part of the issue as well, right? Is you can say something and then you can say, well, I didn't mean it that way, or right. And I just think that from a communication perspective, texting is not ideal.
And you can't correct in real time when you say, I didn't mean it that way. If you're having a conversation, you can naturally correct and clarify right in the moment, versus with texting, a person misreads it and then they react to the way they interpreted a text. Oh, now you've got that person behaving a certain way. Now the original person that was communicating is responding to the way that person was reacting to the text, which can happen in person too, but I think texting can open it up to more miscommunication.
Yeah.
And when you talk about dating, I see people having such different expectations of what texting is. I see people asking a guy asking a woman, oh, can I get your number, after they've just started communicating via text. That can be enough for some women to block, be done, because he's asked for my number too soon. And then you're going to have other people who have the opposite view on dating, where they're like, I don't want to keep texting. I'm like that too, Michal. I don't want to keep texting and developing a texting relationship. Why isn't he asking for my number? Or I want to have a phone call. There's everything in between. Yes, and I agree. I prefer texting for a few days, at least have a phone call, because developing a texting relationship, that's not real life. That is just not real life. What are you getting to know about a person? I think the way it feels when you meet for the first time, base things on that first meeting. How do you feel the moment you met him? You don't have to make decisions. You don't have to know everything about him. You don't have to know what he does every day to decide whether to go on a date. My view.
And I
Just go with the feeling and then decide from there what you want to know about this person.
and I've often told friends of mine, like I haven't been single for a very long time.
Yeah.
But online dating was just beginning when I like in the veracity that it is right now, was just beginning when I met my husband. And I had some rules about and I saw the online dating world as kind of like a bar. Like when you go to the bar and you meet somebody, or the gym, you go to the gym, it was a place to meet someone, right? You don't sit in the bar and generally and talk for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks,
I
right?
love that
You leave,
analogy.
you leave, you meet, you
Yeah.
decide that you might be compatible, you exchange information, and then you have a meeting in a neutral place, and you can get to know each other a little better and decide, yes or no,
And
right?
the yes or no is just simply deciding, do I want to get to know him more? Do I want to
Exactly.
go on a second date? We don't need,
Absolutely.
let the relationship unfold naturally as you have conversations to get to know each other. Otherwise, it's forced, it's interrogation and interviewing. That's not a natural development of a relationship, any
No,
relationship.
and I always find, in my experience, and I'm no therapist, but in my experience with many of my single friends, the longer they have these online relationships, the greater the disappointment when they eventually meet somebody. And I don't like to use absolutes, but I will say it is probably close to 100% of the time, because you formulate this idea in your brain about what this person is. You've interpreted everything that they've said, and they will never be that. Even if they're better than that, they will never be that. So
Yeah.
there's always this disappointment, or this lack of expectation. And then there's this, you're trying to force a relationship, or or if there were red flags in the texting that you've ignored, and then you're just like, no, 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 I've decided to go all in on this person, and then they come and see you and they wonder why the relationship is toxic. But I want to get back to the traveling, or the spending the weekend, because new relationships are tough enough to navigate, right? How do you know, or is there a time to know when it's an appropriate time to take a step like traveling together, or spending the weekend together, or something like that? Does it just kind of feel right? Is it something that everybody does at a different stage? Or is it, are there certain things that should have been established in the relationship prior to that?
I wouldn't put a timeline because I think that depends on so many things. It depends on the two people and just who they are. It depends on how you feel about the relationship. It depends on what you're seeking in the relationship. Too many things to actually put a timeline. I often feel like the answer to questions like this is what feels right. What feels right? And for that, you really have to be in touch with yourself. And does this feel like the right time? It's a similar question to when is the right time to move in together. It has to feel right. And there also I wouldn't go on vacation with someone shortly into the relationship, because I think it could even artificially speed up the relationship, I want to say. Um, going away together, because it can make a person too invested too soon. It's that I would put that along with that kind of thing, like pacing a relationship. I
Yeah.
don't think a person should hold back, like deliberately not see the person too much because you want to slow down go at a slow pace, or pace the relationship, which I see sometimes happening. But also not prematurely, because you can start to get too invested. And then it becomes, well, now I've put so much into it. Oh, we've even been away. Now I've got to work on this relationship, even if you're starting to have doubts.
Yeah, but often at the beginning of a relationship, that's what we want. We want all in. We want to spend all our time together. We want to spend every waking possible minute of the day with this person. It's like it's that whole falling in love situation where it is all consuming,
Mm-hmm.
and then
It is.
it slows down. So how do you balance that?
I think that the key is not losing yourself when you're doing that. Yes, you want to spend, that does happen, right? That beginning stage where you
Absolutely.
just are enamored with the person, you're excited to get to know them, which is great because it does result in a natural getting to know. I think it's if you find that you are spending time with the person and not doing the things that you used to do. So I have a busy life. I work, I have pets and a household to take care of. I go to the gym and I go to salsa and bachata dancing. I like that would frame my week, if I can say it like that. I'm not going to stop those things. Um, because then that would be like losing yourself. It would be giving up your own things that you enjoy in exchange for, because I so want to just be with the person. You're not going to lose out on time if you still keep your life. So I think that's, you kind of want to judge that. And ladies, if you don't have hobbies, yes, get one so that you do have things to do instead of saying, oh, I have time every day to see him. Create things that you can enjoy so that you aren't all consumed. Because that's when people get involved in a relationship, and jump in with and can miss red flags because you're just all consumed.
Sure, and I also believe, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that that can create a little bit of an imbalance in the relationship where the partner who's there all the time and has made all the time in the world, the expectation becomes, well, you've always had all the time in the world for me. Why all of a sudden are you doing other things?
You
Right?
mean if somebody picks up a hobby?
I'm saying so let's say
Mm,
I'm in a relationship with my husband, but we're just meeting.
mhm.
I've cleared my schedule. I'm not teaching yoga anymore. I've worked out that only when he's at work am I doing any of my other work, right? I've stopped taking my online courses that I'm taking. I'm not,
Because of the relationship in this
yeah, because I just
example.
want to spend all my time with him. So I've just cleared my schedule for a little bit.
Mhm.
And this goes on for I don't know, a month, maybe the honeymoon period. And then all of a sudden my life starts to come back, or I'm like, I need to make money.
Or
And
you realize, oh, I miss doing
yeah,
yoga. Oh, I miss seeing
yeah,
my friends.
right. And then I'm going, and he's sitting there going, well, now she doesn't want me anymore. Like,
Yeah,
what's with that? Right.
yeah, yeah.
And or it's like, no, honey, you don't need to go see your friends. Come stay with me. You know how amazing it is when we're together.
Which
And
it is, but
yes, but then
that's losing yourself.
the expectation becomes the expectation becomes I'm giving up myself to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the balance, I hate to say balance of power, but it's a balance of power stops being equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this means one person's time is more important than another's. I need to give up all of my time to be with you, but you can still, I'll revolve my life around your schedule,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
right?
Yeah,
Which I think is a slippery slope and a dangerous place to
yeah.
come, because then you wake up one day and you're like, A, I don't have a life,
Yep.
and B, this is why I don't have a life, and that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't even want this anymore, and what am I going to do without this? Because I
And
don't have
you
a
know what
life.
else has happened in that example is you actually are not being yourself. as you start the relationship. If you've given up, we're talking the figurative, you
Yeah.
have given up the things that you do, that you enjoy, the things that make you you, you give that up because you just are loving being with a partner. And in the beginning, I think your point is, in the beginning, it didn't matter. This is what I wanted to do. The problem is you really aren't being yourself. So in fact, another foundational problem is happening in the relationship where we were saying this is a woman in this case, right? Where the man is now not actually getting to know you because you have given up the parts that make you you. That becomes a problem to
Right.
build the relationship on.
Yeah, and I can see it. I can see it being a struggle. People often laugh because my husband works out of town,
Mm-hmm.
and he's out of town for 3-4 weeks at a time, and then he's back in town anywhere from 3 days to 10 days at a time. So this is my life.
Mm-hmm.
For some people it works, for some people it doesn't. We've done this for many, many, many years. We're very used to it. I,
Mm-hmm.
like you, have a very full life. When he's not around, I mean, I miss him and I talk to him a
Yeah.
lot. He
Yeah.
likes to text. I like to talk on the phone. Go figure.
Interesting.
Um, but I have a busy life, and he's on a for the most part he's on a rotation that I kind of know when he's coming home. So there are certain things that I will make sure of when he's coming home, but nothing stops. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
stops. My coaching, my business continues at exactly the same pace. He
Mm-hmm.
knows. He's very aware. I go to yoga every single day. I teach yoga um 2 or 3 times a week, depending on that, right? I have some online courses, number one that I'm giving, and number two that I'm taking. So
Mm-hmm.
he's very much aware of that and my schedule. And it's really interesting because he says, all right, I'm going to be home from this day to this day. What does your schedule look like? How can we make some time? And it's great to see. And people often say to me, don't you just want to clear your whole schedule and be with him? And yes, part of me does, but no, part of me doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
because this is my life and that's his life,
Yeah.
and our lives are what they are, and it's not going to change,
Yeah.
the way that we
Yeah.
are
This
to.
comes right back to the beginning of this conversation with when I was out of my element for just a few days, my eating was off and so on. That's what would happen if you decided to clear your schedule. Things will be off that you didn't even think about. Your sleep will be off. Your eating will be off. Things will change. And see again the beauty in that. I don't even know if you noticed what you said there. He said, "What can we do to make time for each other, to see each other? What is your schedule?" That's where communication comes in. You
No,
will still enjoy each other. You will still have quality time together.
absolutely. And he doesn't always say things like I say them. Like, for him,
I get.
he's been on an oil rig. He's been just around guys and know people. He wants to, like, go out to dinner. That's what he likes to do. So
Yeah.
his question to me is, which night are you free? So we can go, no, which nights, not night, which
Uh-huh.
nights are you free so that I can take you out for dinner?
Nice. But isn't
Right.
that
And
lovely?
it's always, it's not cancel. He knows that I teach yoga on a Monday night. It's
Mhm.
not, well, cancel your yoga on Monday night. It's, we either go after or we go another night.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see. And I I had many challenges. We had many challenges together, him and I, learning to communicate appropriately with each other. I'm much more cerebral than
Hmm.
he is. He's very, he'll simply say what he needs to say and be done. And I like you, right? I'll tell you the thoughts about my thoughts. And so it's something worth navigating and
Yeah.
working out what's beneficial for us in the relationship in order to do that. I have to share a funny traveling story though,
Okay. Okay.
because I find everybody laughs when they hear this. So when you went to California this time with your partner, were you together the entire time, like 24/7 the whole weekend?
Yes, except for one meeting that I had when I was online at a meeting and he went for a walk to Starbucks. Other
Okay.
than that, yeah, I want to say yeah.
Okay, so
Which is
right,
unusual. Obviously, our
right.
lives have been going on. We
But
had other stuff before.
your relationship is relatively new. Ryan and I have been together for 20 years. Okay. And even when we go on vacation together, we're
Mhm.
both very independent people.
Mm.
Will go and explore things on his own, and I will go sit at the pool and read a book, and then we'll meet up and we'll go for a walk. And then he's very friendly and he knows it's crazy. He knows we'll be on an airplane going somewhere and there'll be somebody going, "Hey, Ryan, it's crazy." Right? He knows a guy. He's the guy who knows a guy. Anyway, so we've never, even when we got married away.
Mhm.
We've never had a period of time where we have spent 24/7 like together,
Never, ever, ever.
days on end. Never until last June, where we drove from Montreal to Texas. That
Oh.
was the first time in 19 years.
How
So,
many days did it
your
take you?
relationship, 19 years that we were spending 5.5 days together in a car.
Oh, and that's okay, that tops it. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing, me spending 5 days with my boyfriend in California and we're doing stuff 5 days in a car. Okay, am I allowed to ask what it was like or what you learned or
I was terrified. I was honestly terrified. All I could think about was I've never spent, and this is, I mean, and he knows because I've spoken to him about this. So,
Mhm.
right, if you're listening, but he knows we've never spent that much time together, ever.
Did you say that? Did you communicate that to each other before the trip? Because that makes a difference. Oh, you
No,
didn't.
I didn't because I didn't even know how to say that. Like, so you don't want to spend time with me, right? Like it. I was just in my mind. I was like, we've never done this. It's either going to be the best adventure ever.
Yeah.
It's going to be a freaking nightmare. Anyway, two dogs. We
What
have two
stands
dogs
out?
who are special needs dogs. So they were in the
Yeah.
back of the car. We're crossing the border. It's me with a brand new visa crossing the border for the first time.
All so so it's not, you see, this is another factor of your trip. This wasn't just a vacation
Moving
in a
from
car. This
Texas.
is stressful stuff.
Yeah.
Moving, immigrating.
Well, not
What stands
immigrating,
out
but
for
moving.
you?
But
What
moving.
stands, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
What stands out for you about this trip in if you compare what you were anticipating, like, wow, we've never spent this much time together solidly, to how it actually was?
It
Like
was
any
amazing. We had the best time.
nice.
Had the best time. I was, I was shocked. Now I have to say that I'm a very highly strung person. I'm all wound up, thoughts on thoughts, all of the things.
Hmm.
He is my absolute antithesis, exact opposite, which is one of the reasons he's so appealing to me. He's calm, he's collected, he lives in the present, he doesn't worry about things. It's a very good balance.
Yeah.
The balance works because I make him, sometimes he worries too little about
Uh-huh.
things, and sometimes I worry too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, it worked great. We were singing songs together in the car. He was so accommodating to all of my needs. And I have some strange idiosyncrasies. He was ridiculously accommodating
I
to
love that.
all of them. All he did the entire time was, are you comfortable? Are you okay? He drives a lot.
Do we need to make a stop?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is going to be our last stop for a while. Are you sure you don't want to go to the washroom?
Nice. Those things are so important. I
It was
love
so
that. I
much
love
fun.
that about my
But
boyfriend as well, this trip. I love that.
but it was so crazy how good it was. And I can only take that down to in the last, especially since COVID. So in the last 5 years,
Mhm.
we've worked really, really hard on our relationship. We were at a point in our relationship where it was either we fix this and move forward together, or we go our separate ways. And we worked really hard to fix it, to do
Mhm.
our best to fix it.
Mhm.
And for me, that was all of that work paying off. And
Oh.
there were two things about fixing it that I think are really relevant to this conversation. Number one, is learning to express my needs and him learning to express his needs, but I'm going to say from my perspective, without fear of judgment and without resentment, right? Like not even if a need isn't met, it's not
Without expectation of the outcome.
yes, all of that.
Mhm.
And so and speaking to his listening, right?
Mhm.
Not expecting him to communicate the way I communicate, allowing him to communicate the way he communicates,
Yeah,
and maybe speaking to him in a way that he can hear me as opposed to just my voice, which can sometimes happen in the background, right? So that's, I think, establishing that we might not have been ready for a 5.5 day trip together before 19 years.
wow. So it really thank you for sharing that, because I mean that just says so much, and I know how much work must have gone into that, and it's such a hopeful little story you gave there as well, because so many people do choose the path to separate afterwards. It's a lot of work to make it work and get to this point where you're right, where you could have so much fun on this trip.
Right? Well, we do now. We have loads of fun together. But I think what I'm saying is learning to communicate, as
Mm-hmm.
you said, is is the underlying factor in everything, whether you're spending the night,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're going to California for the
Mm-hmm.
weekend, whether you're saving your marriage, whether you're trying to navigate in-laws and weird family relationships, which we should talk about in another podcast, because that's a whole other thing. But understanding the relationship as a unit
Yeah.
and working towards something in that unit. What do you want that unit to be and feel like and look like?
Yeah. I mean, now you're speaking to like having goals together as a couple, not just living side by side, going through daily life events. Yeah, actually having a vision of where the two of you are going. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me, in this situation, it's the type of wife I want to be, or the type of partner you want to be, the type of husband
Mm-hmm.
he wants to be, the type of life we want to lead together. And for us, it was enjoy each other and have some fun,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't like have some fun. But I think that's a good place to leave it on for today. That no matter what's coming up in the relationship, whether the relationship is new
Mm-hmm.
or even a little more seasoned,
Mm-hmm.
the goal is always learning to communicate.
Communicate is important and having fun is important. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't have fun if you're not communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can, but it's different. Like it's different. It's this when you have fun together, and it's just it feels there's something about it. Like if you think about your weekend now, it probably feels really amazing.
It does. Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Yeah, because you had fun together from both of you feeling fulfilled place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Well, as always, comments, feedback, things that you want to hear about, maybe questions that you have about what we discussed here today. Of course, we would really appreciate subscribing to the channel, liking the video, maybe sharing it with a friend who you think might find this helpful. It helps us do what we do, and your comments help us give you more information that you want and make this a community where we're discussing real things, right? Real issues, real life.
Mhm. Real talk.
Real
Always
talk.
good to
That's
see you.
that's what we are. Jodi, until next time, my friend. This is always a highlight of my day when I get to see you. So thanks so much. And we'll see everybody again next time.
Thank you too. Bye.
Now.